Donald Trump, the 45th President of the United States, recently set a new record, becoming the first former presidential candidate to be the target of multiple assassination attempts within 2 months of launching his 2024 presidential campaign. From a businessman with no political experience, he shook Washington by winning the presidency in November 2016 against the formidable Hillary Clinton. Trump's political career, like his life, is a long and controversial story. Recently, the 2 consecutive assassination attempts against the former president within a 2-month period during his campaign have raised concerns about the safety of the president or presidential candidates in the United States. In mid-July, Mr. Trump was almost shot in the head by a gunman at a public campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. The 20-year-old attacker was shot down by a sniper. 2 months later, on the afternoon of September 15, while playing golf, he apparently became the target of another assassin. This is unprecedented in the history of U.S. presidential elections. This incident not only makes the already highly polarized U.S. politics even more confused, but also raises concerns about the security of the candidates and its implications for this 2024 presidential race. Is this a plot by forces opposing Donald Trump? Why, even though he is a former president and is preparing to be re-elected as president again, does Mr. Trump still receive the overwhelming support of the people? Is this the main reason leading to 2 failed assassination attempts on Donald Trump? First, let's learn about billionaire Donald Trump's journey from businessman to 45th U.S. president. Donald Trump's full name is Donald John Trump. He was born on June 14, 1946 in Queens, New York. His father, Fred Trump, is a wealthy real estate tycoon. His mother, Nancy Trump, is a housewife. Trump has both German blood from his father and Scottish blood from his mother. This billionaire started his business when he and his father worked in Brooklyn, New York for 5 years. He began to attract attention from businessmen in the late 1960s. He became president of his father's real estate company in 1971, later changing the company's name to the Trump Organization and expanding operations from Queens and Brooklyn to Manhattan. Trump subsequently started many projects, mainly by licensing their names. Expanding his operations too quickly and borrowing from many banks caused him to fall into bankruptcy. His businesses were involved in a total of more than 4,000 different lawsuits and federal legal actions, including 6 bankruptcy declarations. In just 10 years from 1985 to 1994, Trump lost at least $1.17 billion but still lived a luxurious life thanks to his father's huge assets. In addition to being a real estate tycoon, Trump also has a media career so successful that the name Trump was mentioned by Obama in 1991 as a symbol of wealth and success in the eyes of the American people. Despite at that time, Trump was heavily in debt. Trump participated in the reality TV show, The Apprentice, with NBC and received a huge salary of $427 million from 14 seasons. Thanks to inheriting his father's huge fortune, he hosts shows, invests in real estate, gives speeches, and franchises his own name. Donald Trump has built an empire spanning many fields. Real estate and sales deals mainly based on his name. In addition to the inheritance, Fred Trump also helped his son a lot in his business career. These are loans, access to investment funds and a network of both economic and political relationships. In 2020, Forbes estimated Trump's net worth at $2.5 billion. People often say that relationship is second to currency. Donald Trump has both, thanks to his connections and huge assets. Donald Trump was greatly helped in his future candidacy for the presidency. On June 16, 2015, Mr. Trump officially announced his candidacy for president as a member of the Republican Party. His campaign slogans were "Make America Great Again" and "America First." He entered the 2016 presidential race as a Republican and won a surprise victory over Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton, although he lost the popular vote by nearly 3 million votes. He is the 45th president-elect of the United States, the oldest first-term American president, and the first person without previous military or government positions. His election and policies caused many protests. Trump made many false or misleading statements during his campaign and presidency. The claims were documented by fact-checkers and the media widely described the phenomenon as unprecedented in American politics. Many of Trump's comments and actions have been described as racial or racist. After being elected president, he immediately began researching and establishing policies that prioritize America as well as white people. With his "America First" slogan, Trump's 4 years left a controversial legacy. Regarding immigration, Trump placed a travel ban on citizens from a number of Muslim-majority countries, issued a zero-tolerance principle when treating illegal immigrants crossing the border, including the use of force to separate migrant children from their parents leads to the pitiful deaths of migrant children. Trump withdrew the U.S. from the Trans-Pacific Partnership trade negotiations, the Paris Agreement on climate change and the Iran nuclear deal. He imposed import tariffs that sparked a trade war with China. Withdrew U.S. troops from northern Syria and met 3 times for peace talks with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, but the talks' negotiations on denuclearization collapsed in 2019. The economy is the area that Trump claims has made America great again. Trump lobbied for a policy to reduce taxes for businesses from 35% to 21% and reduce taxes for about 65% of American workers, making the U.S. economy boom as he promised. The U.S. economy grew at 2.5% per year during the first 3 years of Trump's administration, up 0.2% compared to the annual growth in the previous 3 years of the Obama administration. In 2018, Trump announced that his new campaign slogan for his second term was "America Great." At the end of his term, Trump responded slowly to the COVID-19 pandemic. He downplayed the threat, ignored and failed to heed many recommendations from health officials, and promoted misinformation about unproven treatments and testing availability. It can be affirmed that the achievements that President Donald Trump has achieved in nearly 4 years as U.S. president are not many, and even among those successes there are some controversial things. On the contrary, he encountered major failures, despite unexpected and force majeure factors, along with historical mistakes. This led to Trump's defeat in his re-election bid in the 2020 U.S. presidential election against Representative Joe Biden, the candidate of the Democratic Party. Trump supporters claim that the election was fraudulent, leading to the 2021 U.S. Capitol riots when Trump supporters vandalized and occupied part of the U.S. Capitol. After the incident, President Trump was recommended for impeachment on January 13, 2021, making him the only U.S. president to ever be impeached twice. So why? After being impeached twice and making failed and erroneous policy decisions, does Donald Trump still have a large number of supporters? Will Donald Trump's advantages make his opponents afraid and have to carry out assassinations immediately to stop him? The 2 recent assassination attempts against Trump occurred in 2 very different situations he is facing. The first attempted assassination took place at an outdoor campaign event in Butler, Pennsylvania, a key battleground state where Trump had previously dominated President Joe Biden in a debate. This time, it happened on the golf course. While Trump is trailing Vice President Harris in polls and is widely perceived as less convincing than Harris in the first and only televised debate in Philadelphia recently. The first assassination attempt occurred around 6 p.m. on July 13, 2024, while former U.S. President Donald Trump was speaking at a campaign event in Butler, Pennsylvania. The shooting was carried out by Thomas Matthew Crooks, 20, of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, who fired from a rooftop approximately 137 meters away from Trump's podium. Donald Trump was shot and injured in the right ear area, then surrounded by U.S. Secret Service agents and taken to a local hospital. During the shooting, 2 people were killed and 5 were injured, including Trump. Law enforcement and witnesses said Crooks climbed onto a rooftop outside the rally venue and fired 8 rounds from an AR-15 style semi-automatic rifle before being killed by a Secret Service counter-assault team sniper. According to the investigation, the suspect had planned this assassination in advance. On the day of the assassination, the suspect rode a bicycle to the scene, and about 2 hours before the shooting, Crooks flew a drone about 200 meters from the stage where Trump was scheduled to speak and live-streamed the footage for 11 minutes. During the investigation, police found improvised explosive devices designed to be detonated remotely at the suspect's home and in a backpack near the bicycle. The drone and controller were also found in the suspect's backpack. The suspect searched online for dates of Trump's campaign events, but also monitored the Democratic National Convention schedule and President Joe Biden's campaign events the following month, leading investigators to be unable to determine Crooks' true ideology and motives. Associated Press photographer Evan Vucci captured an image of a bloodied Trump raising his fist in the air and saying, "Fight," as Secret Service agents escorted him off the stage. These images went viral on social media. Trump was taken to the hospital, treated, and released in stable condition later that day. He made his first public appearance after the shooting 2 days later at the 2024 Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This assassination attempt highlighted serious security flaws in the U.S. Secret Service. The entire security operation was deemed unprofessional. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle resigned 10 days later, following widespread criticism of security lapses at the rally and her testimony before Congress. Was this the most embarrassing failure in Secret Service operations in decades, when a gun was allowed to reach the former U.S. President Donald Trump, injuring him and causing casualties among the audience? The second attempted assassination occurred while the former president was playing golf at the Trump International Golf Course in West Palm Beach. Florida on September 15. Although the assassination was unsuccessful, it still caused much debate and different reactions from relevant parties. The suspect in the second assassination attempt is named Ryan Wesley Routh, 58 years old, from Hawaii and has now been arrested. On social networks, Mr. Routh posted many opinions related to political issues and events in the U.S., and many times criticized former President Donald Trump. Notably, Routh has shown to be supportive of Ukraine and made multiple posts on social network X in 2022 showing support for Ukraine. In 2023, Routh also used his personal Facebook account to encourage more foreigners to participate in the war. This incident raises concerns about protecting the safety of the U.S. president or candidates running for U.S. president. According to the New York Times, the fact that a gunman can still carry a semi-automatic rifle with a scope standing just a few hundred meters away from Mr. Donald Trump shows that the problems that happened in Butler 2 months ago seem to still continue, has not been completely resolved. It also shows that the U.S. Secret Service is increasingly facing greater difficulties in an unpredictable political environment and a tendency for increased violence. This is unprecedented in the history of U.S. presidential elections because in just over 2 months, a presidential candidate was assassinated twice. This incident not only makes highly polarized American politics even more confused, but also raises concerns about the security of candidates and its implications for the 2024 presidential race. Immediately after the incident, President Joe Biden condemned all acts of political violence in the U.S. and directed the U.S. Secret Service to mobilize all resources to protect the presidential candidate of the United States. Republican Party. Vice President Kamala Harris also condemned the attack, declaring, "America has no place for violence," on social networks. Political scientists, historians and many Democratic and Republican political figures point to the shooting as a consequence of political polarization in the United States. The shooting led to widespread sympathy for Trump on social media, and public figures across the domestic and international political spectrum called for de-escalation, condemning the assassination attempt. After the shooting, stocks linked to Trump's media and technology interests jumped significantly, although immediately after the second failed assassination attempt. According to Polymarket, U.S. bookmakers increased Mr. Trump's chances of winning the election. But it is still too early to see the consequences of the incident on the outcome of the election. Election on November 5. How will the assassination of Donald Trump affect the U.S. presidential election taking place next November? Will the 2 failed assassinations of former President Trump help him make a breakthrough in the current difficult sprint period? Let's guess in November this year whether Donald Trump can once again become President of the United States again. Don't forget to leave a comment and share the video if you find it worth watching. Thank you for accompanying us, and we wish you a wonderful and joy-filled day.